You're watching Tag TV. This is your host Tahir Gora in my show, Candid Talk. Viewers, today we have Candid Talk on election 2015. As you know, the date for election 2015 is set October 19, and this is probably the longest election campaign in Canada's history. We have invited 3 South Asian Canadian in our show today, and they would reflect on Canada election 2015, and some of them have inclination towards certain parties, some claim to be neutral, and as an anchor, I'm neutral, at least for this show. So we have 3 gentlemen in our studio. I'll introduce Mr. Asfandyar Wadiwala.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are most welcome, sir. You're very, very active in the community, and you're also recipient of Her Majesty, the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Award.
Thank you.
It's a great honor for you and great honor for our country, as well as you're very vocal conservative activist, and you are diehard conservative.
Thank you.
I must say. And when I'll ask you to speak and to reflect on election, I'll give you certainly opportunity to introduce further yourself. And Mr. Asfandyar Wadiwala is joined by Muhammad Alim, who runs a very successful law firm in Greater Toronto area, Muhammad Alim Law Firm. And he is today talking on Canada election as a neutral. Maybe he might have some inclination towards liberal or towards conservative or towards NDP.
But not decided yet.
Not decided yet. And so viewers, we are also doing this show in a series kind of thing. And we will be conducting so many shows on this issue until we get results by 2015, October 19. And Muhammad Alim and Asfandyar Wadiwala both are joined with our very diehard NDP activist, Mr. Mujib Rahman.
Nice,
and he's also sort of coordinator of social media for NDP GTA area. And he's pretty much involved with NDP leaders and NDP candidates. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Mr. Asfandyar Wadiwala, you are right on the extreme right side.
Thank you,
since
Tahir
you represent Conservative Party.
Definitely.
And Conservative Party
From
still is in
inception,
power.
I'm a conservative.
So what is your take on 2015 election?
2015 elections are very close elections. According to the latest polls also, it's a 3-way elections between the Conservatives, NDP and the Liberals. So, as in Canada, as the system is working, the ballot will be the final decision maker. Whatever the results are, we'll be accepting the result of the ballot and the people of Canada, and accordingly we will act. Either we would hopefully have the power, or we may sit in the opposition, but with a strong opposition.
All right. So we'll resume your stance on election 2015, and I come to now Muhammad Alim. Maybe you have inclination towards certain party, but at this moment you find yourself neutral. What's the reason for that?
Well, at this point, you know what, I had my own personal priorities, and then there was a time then I started thinking about it like, this is the time that I should come to public and show my support to one of the 3 parties. It could be NDP, it could be Conservative or a Liberal party. But all 3 parties, all I can tell you with confidence, they're all working for obviously our Canada or Canadian population in their best. Their philosophy could be different, but I have belief in this, that they all will be working towards the Canadian population in general.
Right. They all are working, strengthening Canada's value for betterment.
That is correct, yes.
Now, I'd like to invite you to jump in the debate, jump in your point of view, that why you feel yourself so close to NDP. What's the central point?
For the last 10 years, we have been going through a regime or a government led by Stephen Harper and Conservatives. And we are seeing the The incomes are stagnant for the middle class, the household that is skyrocketing, and we've seen our civil liberties have taken away from us. We've seen collective bargaining power of the unions are taken away, and we have also seen disrespect for environment and climate change, and all sorts of things that as a country we are no more finding ourselves as Canadians. No, we tend to think that people are started thinking that we are in another country because all Canadian values have been eroded for the last 10 years. That's the reason I strongly support NDP is the only party which can repair Canada economically, for climate change, for civil liberties, and all sorts of things. So NDP is the best choice for the people. That's the only reason I am supporting NDP, and I'm a humble NDP supporter and party member.
So you have put your case according to what you see in terms of Canada's politics, and now we come to Mr. Aswan Wadiwala.
I would say, I would ask a question to all the Canadians. Can Canada afford a socialist government? It's a big no. The reason is, we have got our values, we have got a system of governing. We belong to various international platforms, like big forums like NATO, G20, G8, NAFTA, and at the same time, we are proud, we have signed a free trade agreement with 39 countries. Where was NDP or Liberals in last whole decade? They could only sign 4 countries free trade agreement. And we have stopped so many things to improve the standard of living for Canadians. We believe in family values. We protect the women. We protect the children. And our Prime Minister is not only the Prime Minister of Canada, is a world-class statesman. Canada plays a very important role in world affairs these days. And how can we have a socialist government and move along with the spatial development and economic conditions? Already the world is slipping into another mild recession, and definitely the effects will come on Canada as well. So we have to be very, very careful, cautious how we take each move.
So, Mr. Muhammad Alam, as you are hearing opinions
Yes.
from both sides, and you claim at this point that you are neutral, so how would you reconcile these two different sides?
It's very difficult because there's a party, obviously from his perspective about Stephen Harper and his playing, but I would still say that I'm not against conservative, but you know what, you have seen me like raising those issues, some of the concerns, because Mr. Stephen Harper, yes, with all the good intentions, the policies and procedure, but some of the procedures goes well beyond where they are introducing civil liberties and about your rights.
Are you talking about C51 bill?
That's correct, yes. And there's some system needs to be in place that should be fair. So obviously there are some changes needed or supposed to be in place that can protect your legal right or your constitutional right. That was not done properly. This bill was brought like in a very rush manner that we have to do it. We have to pass this legislation, otherwise something is going to happen. So that rush was obviously, I was not a supporter on that. As far as NDP, I mean, we have seen NDP. I do not see at this point like NDP anywhere like coming to the ruling party, because they still have to work hard. The biggest.
But what is your take? Sorry to interrupt.
biggest
What's
challenge.
your take? What Mr. Aswan Yar says that NDP may take our country towards socialist agenda.
I'm not sure if that's true or that's correct on that. It will really take to the socialist agenda, but I mean. NDP, there is a leadership that's probably needs to be brought. I don't think this election will be very that they will be there in ruling party, but they're working on towards that. And I've seen lot of young people, young generations, like they are more attracted to NDP.
Right. So you are hearing views sort of neutral as well as conservative.
Okay.
And Mr. Aswan Yar Wadiwala is saying that probably you guys would be taking Canada towards socialist structure. So what is your perspective when some of the Canadians think that socialist structure?
I'll take strong exception to both of them, because they are trying to manipulate the facts. we've seen the socialism or even the terrorist attack. There are two things, you know. They are using it as a ploy to deceive people, because when they're saying socialism, that means we are not able to manage the economies. But they haven't seen us managing the economies. They're like, we have seen Stephen Harper's finance minister, Joe Oliver, presenting budget to the parliament, telling the Canadian people that budget is balanced. They even ditched the employment insurance fund by $2.3 billion, I guess, to balance the budget. Later, it came out as a 1.3 billion or 1.2 billion deficit budget. So they are not managing economies, because we have lost a lot of jobs during the last 20 years. Our economy is now stagnant. We are in the threshold of a recession. And Stephen Harper, as the Prime Minister of Canada during the national leaders debate, he was admitting in open to the Canadians that the country is in a recession. So he has been managing this economy is not good at all. It's not good for anyone. And when it comes to civil liberties or Bill C51, as you pointed out, it's like Bill C51 is all about a fear mongering. Because what I say is, we have a very big example recently, because we had our successful Commonwealth Games, we've conducted. If you look at that, for any terrorist or any terrorist network or groups, such a big event would be a best opportunity to launch an attack on Canada. We've managed it very well. There is nothing gone wrong in that event. So basically, when Stephen Harper and Conservatives saying that the Bill C terrorist attack is a looming terrorist attack in Canada, it's just taking people's attention away from economy and all the other stuff. They just want to smear campaign, just small screen for leading people to a wrong direction. So this is something just about politics.
I'm going to interrupt you, Mujib, here. You said that Mr. Harper is putting Canada sort of in economic debt. Mm-hmm. But we have seen that Canada has gone through very well in a recent recession. So what is your take on it?
It's not me saying Canada is in a recession. It's Stephen Harper himself admitted on national TV. In Maclean's TV, he has admitted that Canada is in a recession. It's not me who's saying it.
No, he didn't say probably in recession. He said
the economy
is
under recession. We may slip into, due to the present world crisis of China, Greece and other nations. It's a world issue. Canada cannot remain aloof with the other world countries. Right. Canada will definitely have its share of recession, but we are in a very good position as compared to the North American countries and the rest of the world. We will be able to come out very fast what we did in the last recession of 2008.
And I can agree on that. Like the recession part, the government has done very well, because we haven't really seen the true effect of recession. We are in recession. There is no doubt.
I didn't say in recession, but threshold of recession. We were going to
Should we call it a recession or debt?
I do not know.
Mild recession. I would put the word mild recession.
It's still recession, but there is credit you have to give to the government. But there are things that needs to put right by Conservative, especially we talk about like Bill C51 and some of the issues about immigration. The Conservative government really has to look into this. That they really have this country is run. The immigrant in this country, they are. And I can be proud to say that they are the one who, I'm not saying that this country is being run only on immigrant, but immigrants are the vibrant, they are part of this machine. And without immigrants, I do not think this country can really run as well as we are running today. So the Conservative really look into that aspect as well, and I will give credit to Liberal government, their policies on the immigration side. They are favorable and they understand, they realize that without the immigration, without the immigrant, you cannot turn this wheel as efficient as we are doing it now.
What is your take on
let me clarify on this immigration issue. If you see the records of immigration in the last 1 decade, average 300,000 immigrants have come into Canada. What it was not the same numbers. The economy is getting stronger, the housing market is very strong, and immigrants are the backbone for Canada. That cannot be denied. Otherwise, without immigrants, Canada would have suffered many issues because our population is still about 3.3 officially and 3.5 million. So, we still a small country with a large land area and lots of resources by the grace of God, rich in resources.
Right. So, Mujib, as we're talking about immigration policies and immigrants' issues in this country, NDP has not been in power, I mean, federal government, for a long, long time. So now we are talking and we are assuming that maybe NDP would be sort of in a position to make a government minority or majority. In that case, what is your party position for immigration?
As far as immigration for our party is concerned, so we are for it's not for any specific area or any specific religion or community. We see Canada as one, and we would invite people from other parts of the world, regardless of their race, color, or religion or anything. So we have a policy for religion. For immigration. Immigration is for NDP is for bringing more people, more workforce, more talented people into this country and giving them the opportunity. When I don't say that Harper government or the Conservative government did something wrong with immigration, but I would say with some sort of bills that you take, because if you want to apply for the citizenship in Canada now, they have that law is now changed, because you have to wait for 6 years and you need to be in this country for 4 years. Earlier it was I guess it's for 5 years, and you need to be in this country for 3 years. So every now and then this immigration law is changing. So the prospective immigrants from other parts of the world, they are looking at it. So if you are changing these laws time and again, it's going to reflect badly on those the prospective immigrants, I guess.
Right. So Aswan Jarji, I mean, we are talking about Bill C51.
C51, before C51, let me clarify some immigration issues, what my learned friend has pointed out. We are very liberal as far as the immigration policy is concerned.
You mean Conservative Party?
Conservative Party of
is
Canada.
Is very liberal.
Very liberal in getting cream a la cream educated class. We can't get any Tom, Dick or Harry into our country. We have a system. We have a certain policies. If a person meets that criteria from various countries, he's most welcome to come to Canada. We have got nearly 200 nationalities in Canada, which is the biggest immigrant country in the world, even bigger than USA.
Right.
200 nationalities, and all are living in harmony. We have to see from very minutely each and every aspect of immigrants coming into Canada, like the recent issues of niqab and all that issues have turned up from a certain segment of the community are very, very disturbing. So we have clarified our position, and the immigration minister had to amend the immigration laws, but our policy is very open. If you can study, with the change of times, the policy has to change. We cannot have a 1960s immigration policy in operation in Canada. We are a progressive country, and we have to change time and again.
Right. Mr. Majid was talking about Bill C51. Mr. Alam was also talking about Bill C51. And as we see that experts said there is need of oversight for that Bill C51, but also we see that Bill C51 challenges some of the civil liberties. But on the other hand, we see that security and full freedom cannot get along with each other.
Go hand in hand.
Sort of. So in this complex situation, how do you view Mr.
C51 is at most necessary. We had a long deliberations in the House of Commons, where all the three parties discussed at length. Enough time was given. Even NDP discussed, they raised all issues. And finally, then how come the Liberal Party of Canada supported the bill? If they were so much against the C51. C51 has become at most necessary. Canada has become a target of terrorists. And the day is not far off that if we don't take care of our security.
We have already
and we have taken steps. Our Canadian armed forces are already in Iraq and Syria and helping the other NATO forces, because that's a world issue, and for our safety of our Canadian citizens. C51 is at most necessary. We have not taken any liberties from a like-minded and a peaceful citizens of Canada. It is actually the terrorists and the people who are involved in anti-state activities should worry about C51. At the same time, I would here refer as C24 Bill 2. It is not going to hurt anybody, let me tell you and assure you, because all the lawyers and all various platforms have minutely and thoroughbred, they have discussed these issues. But only for the sake of opposition, NDP is determined to oppose. So, fine. We believe in democracy, let them oppose. But if, God forbid, anything happens to Canada, our generations would never forget NDP.
Yeah, but at the same time, like with all due respect, I mean NDP, either it's NDP or Liberal Party, nobody obviously have any intentions that Canada, there should be any harm or Canada should be unsafe. We all have security concerns, but it's just the way that the bill is presented in such a rush and harm, and then something is going to happen tomorrow.
We have international threats.
Well, you have international threat, but there's always a mechanism. Like there are charter rights, and that's supreme. You cannot, go and tell people if you don't pass this bill, there's something is going to happen next day. It's not, but you have to make a clear balance that you don't take away the rights that was given by Canadian Constitution and charter rights that are protected, and that's supreme.
And Mohammed Alam, I would like to know your take when you, on behalf of some law association,
That's
met
correct.
Prime Minister Harper,
Yes,
and showed your concern on Bill C51. What was his response?
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, I'm being the vice president for Canadian Association of South Asian Lawyers. We went and met Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and there's some other ministers. I mean, he has listened. He has. We have registered our concerns, and those were the concerns. There should be a mechanism that is lacking. It needs to be revised. And the only concern that no lawyers or lawyers association in Canada, no party will say that it's absolutely not necessary, but there should be a balance that we should keep in any legislation that we will introduce, keeping in view that we need a safe Canada.
Majid, as Alim is saying, Aswan Yar is saying that we need security for Canada, and probably NDP would not deny that either.
Never.
But the thing is, what is that when Mr. Mulkir says that if
Will
they
repeal.
come into power, they will repeal it? What is
Repeal
that?
the whole
What
bill.
does that mean?
I'll explain you why. The reason is Mulkir is saying we will repeal the Bill C51. On first place, there is no need of a bill at this point in time, because we are, if whatever threat of terrorism that we are projecting or we are exaggerating, it's all just an exaggeration. If you look at no CCs or RCMB or any police agencies haven't reported any organized terrorist activity very relevant or very active in this country in Canada. We haven't seen any terrorist attack except some individuals acting on their individual capacity.
We have seen one attack in Ottawa, one in Montreal.
Yeah, that's not related to a big terrorist network. Those individuals, they are acting on their own capacity, individual capacity. There is no big terrorist network attacking or
but they are calling for that attack from ISIS, I believe so, as we see their videos.
Then, and also Wadiwala said, Bill C51 is the reason that they send troops to Iraq and Syria or Iraq and other places. There is nothing to do with Bill C51, because we are endangering our own soldiers, because Canada has a tradition. Canada was one of the world's the important or forefronting peacekeeper in the world. And we have lost that, that image in the world. Now we are into combat. And when these bodies are coming back with our soldiers, they're dead, they are not honored. They're not honored. I have in my cell phone, I can show you at least 70 points why this government failed Canadians. If you have time, if you let me read that out, I can tell you 70 points how this government failed Canadians.
No, definitely sometime we might engage ourselves in such long debates as well. But as the debate is turning around security and economy, and those are the two issues, it looks like Canada's
those are the
election
lifeline
2015.
for any country.
Yes.
We have to, but the security is our number one issue. economic policies. Our Prime Minister's action plan is already in implementation, and we have done fairly well. You can see our achievements. Recently, each and every Canadian child got an early Christmas gift from a surplus budget, not the deficit budget.
That's a vote buying. I
Not a vote
objected,
bank.
Charlie. That's a
And
vote
so I
buying.
would
That's
like
vote
to
buying.
put on record
That's vote
again,
buying.
it was not a vote bank. Just open up the record of the Liberals.
I said
he's saying vote
He's
buying.
saying
vote
buying.
buying.
yeah, vote buying or vote bank, or increase the vote bank. But at the same time, if you see the last decade record, Liberals did the same thing. They issued checks before elections. That is very much.
So you're saying that if
no,
Liberals
just
did
to
a
bring on
mistake, you will
record,
also repeal
we are
it.
not
That's what
making
you're
a
saying.
mistake. We have given funds to each and every child from our surplus budget, so to lessen the burden of our parents.
Why he chose just 4 or 3 months before an election, paying
After-
Canadian families with an extra check.
Yes,
So
let me
would the
answer you that.
NDP not do that if they will be in power?
Gora Sahab, let me answer that question. Why it was given just now, it was a coincidence because the budget passed and the surplus funds
Let
were
me
brought
tell
in
you one
front
thing.
of
Let
us,
me tell you one thing.
and it was a good deed was done by our Prime Minister, and at the same time, soon after getting the checks, some South Asian communities started bickering just for the sake of opposition, and I have attended few discussion forums on this issue, and I just told them, if your child or your family doesn't need those checks, why don't you return back to the government? You are most welcome to do that. And even 1% people have not returned those checks. Let me tell you.
Issue is not individually like
No,
if
I'm
somebody.
telling you, the sentiments, because they were bickering very badly. These checks were given, vote bank and
Varivara
blah,
is
blah, blah, blah.
personalizing that. Varivara
It
is
was a goodwill
personalizing that.
gesture for each and every child,
If
family.
If Conservatives likes to
Help Canadians.
help Canadians, they would have introduced more affordable childcare spaces. So what NDP is saying that we
This
pay
is another
15
campaign
Yeah,
by
yeah, sure.
NDP.
Well,
Yes,
if
you
you're-
get $15
yeah,
per day.
$15 childcare space. That's 1 million childcare spaces for $15.
So let me
If
put
so,
my comments.
and
Sorry,
I'm
sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, okay. So at least it costs $70 for a day for a child to keep in a daycare.
Right.
So $760 or so that if average two kids family that receive the check from. So how much day or how many days they will get to pay for this by this check? How can you use that for childcare spaces? It's not even 10% of the actual cost. It's less than 10% of the actual cost. So if you want to help the families, they are poor and middle class, you have to create more childcare spaces for an affordable rate. Because I'm coming from a place called Brampton, and if you check that at least $70 is a daily childcare space cost in Brampton. So you compare 720, it's only for less than 10 days. So
But
that's not the
Mr.
right approach. The
Mr.
right
Mujib,
approach is to create more
parents
spaces
are
for
also
childcare.
responsible for the child. It's not only the state that 100% expense of a child and your family is. We don't have a socialist government.
Then why you're
Maybe
doing-
when you introduce a socialist government,
Okay, let me
bring
conclude
that.
our show with the neutral
And
voice,
with the
Mohammed
15
Alam.
let me answer one question. If we have a $15 an hour, if we increase the wages, just now the ratio is very high of a small business collapsing. Our retail business will go to down the drain if we start paying $15 an hour.
We can
I'll tell
resume
you
this
why.
discussion in our next show, but we have, thanks goodness, a neutral commentator, Mr. Mohammed Alim.
Yeah, no,
So
I-
you are hearing both sides.
Yes, yeah, but I would suggest yes. You know, there's one way to help support Canadians, but obviously it's not a substitute what NDP and other community members they need. I mean, maybe Conservative does not have that much money to provide that support, but they should look into a bigger picture rather than just giving only a check and saying, okay, that's something that Conservative. It's not Conservative. It's our money. We are the one who are taxpayer. It's our money that is being given to somebody or some of the Canadians.
But the checks have not been sent by the Conservative Party of Canada.
But
it was
by the
sent by the
government.
federal government, the ruling party of Canada.
But a message is from the
Yeah.
Conservative.
But this is all, we all gentlemen know that these are political decisions taken by any political party who would be in power.
Right.
And the thing is, the purpose of series of such shows is to create an awareness within our masses, and especially our South Asian masses,
Right.
that how our three political parties, major three political parties,
That's
I
right.
should say, heading towards their agenda. And I'm very grateful for all of you that you participated in our discussion today. And certainly and obviously, we cannot have clear answer for those concerns what you all are raising and what our viewers have in their minds. But I'm very grateful for all of you. You
Yes,
participated in that.
and
Thank you for inviting us.
And thank you for
Thanks a lot.
allowing us share some of the
And
views by,
express our
by
views.
these experts. And I think that that is a great way to for our public to listen what the party representative are saying.
Right. No, this is very helpful.
Yeah,
And
sure.
thank you, Mujibur Rahman.
Thanks.
Thank you, Muhammad Alam.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Gora.
Asfandiar.
Before we
Thanks for
conclude,
having me on
let
this
me give a
program.
last message to our citizens of Canada. God willing, we will remain blue. Once again, 2015 is our year, and we have to be first Canadians, then remain divided.
Absolutely.
And a small message from me
Right.
for our listeners, like we have to go out. We have to, because it's important that as a public we go out and cast our vote, because if we, doesn't matter who you cast, Conservative, Liberal or NDP or any other party, but go out and register your vote.
Wonderful. And your last one.
NDP is for uniting the country, and it's not for dividing the country. NDP has many people-friendly policies like $15 daycare, minimum wages, $15 minimum wage, and also the climate policy and economy. All these are for the good of the people of this country. So I would, advise, or I would ask you, all of our viewers, to get your families, get your friends, get your relatives, and everybody to get out. And especially, what happens with our mostly the Asian population is that they are reluctant to go out and vote mostly.
Right.
So we have to beat that. This time we have to throw Stephen Harper out of power, and the South Asian community, especially, unlike other times, last times, we have to get out and cast our ballot for the best party that can protect our interest, and that is NDP. And please vote NDP this time. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, and thank
Thank
you,
you
viewers.
for-
This is our first show on Canada election 2015. We have done a show before with Tariq Fatah, but this is a kind of a debate between two different parties' representatives, as well as the neutral supporter for Canada's politics. Thank you for watching TAC TV.